Well, let's move on to the fifth point. The fifth point in candlestick trend analysis relates to the strength of the trend. Now, friends, when discussing trend strength, various scenarios may arise. Let me first give a brief explanation and a quick review. I had mentioned this earlier when discussing the trend at the beginning of candlestick trend analysis, but it's necessary to revisit it here. We assume market movement looks like this, a certain market forms a trend like this, and from here, again. Now, let me draw this a bit shorter. Alright, let's take a look at the market. Before I draw that wave, let's discuss what happens when an uptrend like this is formed. As the market continues to move upward, we encounter a resistance area or level here. When this wave or minor trend reaches this point, there are four possible scenarios that could unfold. We're going to analyze this and see, based on candlestick trend analysis, which scenario is more likely when facing this resistance level. It's important to note that in this uptrend, I've already explained that we refer to this part as the major trend, and this becomes the minor trend. The minor trend needs to align with the major trend. When they align, different outcomes can occur as the trend reaches this resistance level. Now, I'll illustrate each scenario one by one and explain how you should make decisions when faced with these situations and what key points you should focus on. The first scenario is when we observe that the size of the candlesticks in the minor trend is gradually increasing, getting bigger one by one. In such a case, when the candlestick sizes are consistently growing and the trend reaches the resistance level, it is highly likely that it will break through this level and continue upward. This means that the trend, which had moved up to this point, reaches the resistance level and then pushes through it, continuing its upward movement. When the candlestick sizes are consistently increasing, it indicates a strong trend that can easily overcome the resistance level in its path. But in the second scenario, we assume that as the candles move upward, some of them might have bodies or volumes that are very similar in size. To easily and freely register with the quotex broker, click on the link in the video description. Some of the candles might be the same size, while others could be larger. For instance, these two are exactly the same size, and this one is bigger. Then, we might see another candle that's larger than the previous one, followed by another one that might be the same size as the earlier one, or some of them might be equal in size while others get bigger. In such a scenario, when the candles reach the resistance level, we need to carefully assess the situation. In this scenario, the candles are sometimes equal in size to the previous candle, and sometimes they grow larger. It's important to note that they should not get smaller. Either they remain the same size as the previous candle, or they get bigger. In this case, the candles aren't being influenced by sellers enough to shrink, indicating that this is a strong movement with the potential to break through the resistance level and continue the trend. So, even in this situation, when the candles reach the resistance level, they can easily break through it and continue the trend. Notice that in both this case and the previous one, I haven't drawn any shadows on the candles. The reason for this is that shadows don't matter to us in this discussion. Here, we're only concerned with the candle bodies and their volume. The shadows are irrelevant. Now, let's move on to the third scenario. Now, I've been explaining all these scenarios in the context of an uptrend, but you can easily apply the same logic to a downtrend, just in reverse. I won't draw out the downtrend scenario to save time, but you should be able to understand it by reversing these examples. In the third scenario, we assume that we have a candle here, and the next candle is a bit smaller, the following candle is even smaller, and the one after that continues to shrink. In a situation where the candles are consistently getting smaller and their volume is decreasing as they approach a resistance level, we don't expect them to be able to break through this level. This is a very weak movement, and the likelihood of a pullback occurring with a red candle forming and the trend reversing is much higher. When the price reaches this resistance level, the probability of breaking through and continuing upward is quite low. It's more likely that the trend will reverse at this point. The reversal could be brief, with the trend possibly resuming afterward, or it could lead to a more significant downward movement, potentially forming a lower point. However, the specifics of how far it might drop aren't as relevant to our current discussion. Now, there is a fourth and final scenario that we might encounter. And then there's the fourth scenario, which looks like this. You see candles with weak bodies that fluctuate in size, meaning you might see something like this. A candle appears, followed by another that's slightly larger, and then another one that's weaker. These candles can have different shadows, but I won't draw those since they don't matter for our discussion. Then you might see another candle that's a bit stronger, followed by another weak one. When this kind of pattern occurs, it also indicates a weak movement that is unlikely to break through the level. After this, the likelihood of a reversal is quite high. In this situation, this movement lacks the strength to break through the resistance, and a reversal is very likely to occur at this point. So that covers the discussion on trend strength, which I've now fully explained to you. Dear friends, to make sure you don't miss any of our videos, please subscribe to the BS Academy channel. Also, activate the notification bell so that you are informed as soon as we publish new videos. Thank you for your support.